My girlfriend said, "You're everything," but her secret bank statements told me otherwise. It was late one evening when I noticed something strange. I've been paying the bills and handling the finances for the last few months, a responsibility I took seriously. We were living together now, just a year into our relationship, and while it wasn't perfect, it felt like we were building a future. Or at least, that's what I thought. She had always told me how much she loved me, how I was everything to her, how she wanted to spend the rest of her life with me. I had no reason to doubt her words. She was affectionate, thoughtful, and always there when I needed her. It felt like the kind of love I'd always wanted. But then one night, as I was sitting at the kitchen table, I noticed a notification on her phone, a bank alert for a recent transaction. It wasn't anything huge, just a small amount, but I found it odd. She never let me see the details of her accounts, and I never thought much about it. But tonight, the curiosity gnawed at me. I clicked on the link. The transaction was from a well-known high-end store I didn't recognize. Why is she spending money on something like this without telling me? I wondered. She had never been secretive about money before. It seemed like something that could be easily explained. Maybe it was a gift for her parents or something for the house we were decorating together. But I had to know for sure. So, like an idiot, I opened the email with her bank statement that was automatically forwarded to her inbox. The minute I saw it, I felt a cold wave of panic run through me. There were more charges, much larger ones, that didn't make sense. Big-ticket items, clothes, accessories, trips, all from places she'd never mentioned, all things she'd never said she was planning to buy. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I told myself, don't overthink this. Don't assume the worst. But the more I looked, the more I realized it wasn't just the occasional splurge. There were receipts for dinners, hotels, and purchases that I had no knowledge of. There were also recurring payments, subscriptions, memberships. Her usual spending habits have been a lot more modest, so why now? Why all of a sudden? I felt my heart rate pick up. I told myself it could just be something I didn't know about. Maybe she was planning a surprise for me. Maybe I was being paranoid. But the longer I stared at those numbers, the more it started to sink in. These weren't small, incidental purchases. They were significant. She had been hiding things from me, things she was paying for without telling me. I had to confront her. I had to know. And yet, as I closed the statement and the screen went dark, I felt a sickening sense of dread. What if I was wrong? What if I was overreacting?
I tried to calm myself down, but nothing seemed to make sense. I sat in silence for what felt like hours, just trying to think, trying to process. Finally, she walked in. I hadn't heard her come through the door, but when I looked up, there she was. She was smiling, like everything was normal, like nothing had changed. That smile, it made my stomach twist. She went straight to the kitchen to grab a glass of water, and I felt this tightness in my chest. I couldn't let it go.
I couldn't pretend that I hadn't seen what I'd seen. I had to know the truth. Hey, can we talk? My voice was tighter than I wanted it to be, but it was all I could manage. She looked over at me, her face softening a little. Sure. What's up? I couldn't stop myself. I stood up, walking over to her with the bank statement in my hand. I held it out, watching her face for any reaction, any sign that she would come clean before I had to say anything. But she didn't flinch. Instead, she took the paper and looked at it quietly for a few seconds. Why didn't you tell me about this? I asked, my voice shaky but firm. Why are there so many charges here I don't know about? What's going on? She looked at the statement, then back at me, her eyes wide with something like surprise or maybe guilt. But she didn't speak at first. She just stared, and I felt my anger building. I wasn't hiding anything, she said finally, but her voice lacked conviction. I didn't think it was a big deal. I just didn't want to worry you. Worry me? I repeated, my chest tightening. You didn't think I'd worry when I found out you were buying stuff like this, going to places we never talked about? Her eyes darted around, and I could tell she was scrambling for something to say, anything to explain herself. It's nothing, she said after a pause. It's just stuff. I didn't want to tell you because I didn't think you'd understand. I didn't want to fight about it. It's not like I'm doing anything bad. Nothing bad. I felt my voice rising. You're spending money I don't even know about on things you've never mentioned. I thought we were partners. I thought we were honest with each other. She seemed to shrink back, her posture suddenly defensive. Jake, I didn't mean for it to get like this, she said, her voice quiet now, almost pleading. I didn't want to burden you. I wanted to handle things on my own. I didn't know what to say. The more she spoke, the more it felt like I was hearing excuses instead of an explanation. She wasn't being honest with me, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized I had been in the dark for a long time. I looked at her for a long moment, trying to decide what to do next. The woman I loved, the woman I had shared my life with, had just admitted that she hadn't been open with me, that she had been hiding things, keeping secrets. I wanted to believe her, I really did. But how could I? I don't know what to think right now, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I felt drained, like I had been punched in the gut. I don't understand why you couldn't just talk to me about this. Why lie? I didn't lie, she said, her voice rising a little, frustration creeping into her words. I just didn't tell you everything. It's not the same. I didn't know how to respond to that. I could feel the space between us growing, expanding into something we couldn't fix with a simple conversation. I don't know if I can just ignore this, I said, my voice heavy with uncertainty. I don't know if I can just go back to the way things were. Her face softened again, but it was too little, too late. She looked at me like she wanted to reach out, but didn't know how. I'm sorry, Jake, she said quietly. I didn't mean to hurt you. I never wanted to hurt you. But I could already feel the hurt sinking in, the sting of betrayal starting to take root. How could I trust her again? How could I look at her the same way after all this? I didn't know what would happen next. Maybe we could work through it, but maybe we couldn't. The gap between us felt so much wider now. I think I need some space, I said, finally, my voice hollow. She nodded, her expression unreadable. Okay, I understand. And just like that, the woman I thought I knew, the one who said I was everything, felt like a stranger. Part 2. The next few days were a blur. After that conversation, everything felt fractured. It wasn't just the way we were talking, it was the silence. The space between us, even when we were in the same room. Her clothes were still scattered around the apartment. Her toothbrush still sat in the bathroom, and her scent lingered on the pillows. But the energy had shifted. I couldn't escape the tension, the feeling that things had broken beyond repair. I tried to focus on work, to throw myself into something else, but every time I looked at my phone, my mind would circle back to those damn bank statements. The more I thought about them, the more I realized that her secret purchases weren't just about money. It was about trust. It was about how she had been hiding things from me, keeping me in the dark about her life, as if I wasn't worth the honesty. I didn't know how we were supposed to move past that. It felt like I was looking at a completely different version of her. The version that didn't tell me things, that didn't feel the need to include me in her choices. The woman I thought I knew would have been upfront, would have explained herself, would have apologized without making excuses. But she hadn't. Instead, she had tried to downplay everything like it wasn't a big deal, like she was just trying to save me from the truth. I tried to reach out, to find some kind of resolution. But whenever I brought it up, the conversations would get quiet, awkward. She'd apologize again, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't actually sorry for what she'd done. She was sorry for getting caught. She was sorry for the discomfort, the rupture. But sorry for the betrayal? I wasn't sure. I remember one night, sitting on the couch with her, both of us awkwardly staring at the TV, neither of us really watching it. The silence was deafening. It was as if we were both waiting for the other person to break. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. Do you still love me? I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. She looked at me like I had just asked her to solve a math equation. Her face conflicted, like she was trying to work out how to answer. After a long pause, she said, I don't know. It was the most gut-wrenching thing I had ever heard. I wasn't looking for a perfect answer. I wasn't even looking for a declaration of undying love. But I was looking for something real, something that showed me she still saw us, that she still saw me. Instead, I got nothing but uncertainty, and it stung more than I was willing to admit. The next few days were quieter than ever. I kept my distance, kept to myself, spending time at the gym or going for long walks. When I came back, she was still there, but it felt like we were strangers.
We'd exchange pleasantries, but the affection that had once been so easy between us had disappeared. I realized that the emotional intimacy we had built up over the last year was fragile. So fragile that it couldn't survive even the smallest breach of trust. It wasn't just the money. It wasn't even about the things she bought or the trips she'd taken that I hadn't known about. It was the fact that she had been living a double life, and I hadn't even noticed.
The realization that I didn't really know her the way I thought I did hit me like a ton of bricks. How had I missed it? How had I been so blind to what was really happening behind the scenes? I thought about the night she walked in with that fake smile, as if nothing was wrong. I thought about how she had tried to brush off the accusations, like it was no big deal, like I was the one overreacting, and I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand the way she was making me feel like I was the crazy one for questioning her actions. There was a night when I came home and found her sitting on the couch, staring at her phone. I wasn't sure what I was expecting, but it wasn't the empty look on her face when she glanced up at me. For a moment, I thought she was going to say something, anything to bridge the gap between us. Instead, she just sighed. "I'm sorry, Jake," she said quietly, like she was saying it more to herself than to me. "I never wanted to hurt you." "Then why did you?" I asked, the words slipping out before I could stop them. "Why keep secrets? Why keep me in the dark about all this?" She didn't answer right away. She seemed to shrink into herself, her shoulders slumping like she was already defeated by her own guilt. It felt like every part of her that once held confidence, that warmth, that love, had drained away. "I don't know," she whispered. "I don't know how we got here. It just happened." I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell her how unfair it was, how I had trusted her, how I had believed in our relationship, only to find out that it was all a lie. But instead, I just stood there, staring at her, realizing that there was no coming back from this. There was no way to rewind time and undo the hurt she had caused. The damage had already been done. The next day, I decided I needed to take a step back. I couldn't keep living in this limbo, this place where we were pretending everything was fine while the cracks in our relationship widened with every passing day. So I did what I should have done weeks ago. I moved out. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I packed up my stuff, knowing that the woman I loved was still in the apartment, and I couldn't even look her in the eyes without feeling a mix of betrayal and anger. It felt wrong, but it also felt like the only choice I had left. I don't know if she understood why I left. Maybe she did. Maybe she didn't. She didn't try to stop me. She didn't try to fight for us. And in a way, that broke my heart even more. It was like she had already given up on us long before I even knew there was a problem. So I left. I rented a small apartment on the other side of town. It was temporary, just a place to figure out what to do next, a place to put the pieces of my broken heart back together. But the truth is, I don't know if I'll ever really get over it. I don't know if I'll ever fully trust anyone the way I trusted her. She taught me that love can be fragile, that the things you think are solid can slip through your fingers when you least expect it. I still don't know the full extent of what was going on between her and whoever she was spending all this money on. Maybe I never will. But one thing's for sure, I won't be the same person after this, and neither will she. As for the woman who once told me I was everything, well, now I know that even the best intentions can hide the darkest truths.